Hi, welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. Today is one of those kick ass shows. Let me tell you what's about to happen today. We're talking about legacy. That's right, legacy. What is legacy? It's taking something in your family tree and you're making it continuously move forward. It's kind of like taking this train that's already started and you keep adding another one and another one, another one. And the good part about it is if the legacy that you attaching your name to is still relevant, boom, that's a whole different ballgame. Today on the show, we're going to talk exactly about how that works with a young man from the Bay Area. This is pure legacy right here. I'm already shaking in my boots because I'm gonna say a line that everybody knows. I'm too legit to quit. SMC Hammer. And I am privileged today to have one of his relatives on the show who, let's call it what it is, the soon to be too legit to quit. He's following that legacy, that footstep, that blueprint, not only from his family member, MC Hammer, but let's not forget the person that brought him into this world, his own father. Father toured with Hammer. Damn, why didn't I know these guys? Because I can do that too. You know what I mean? I can do that too legit move too. Without further ado, let's welcome to the Andre the Beast Crayton Show, 26-year-old Kevon Williams. What's up, big guy? How you doing?
Man, Andre, it's a pleasure to be here, man. That was a great introduction. I'm not gonna lie. You was gassing me up there, so feel good to be
Look,
on.
look, look, check this out. If you had been anybody else, you might not have got that.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate that.
Man, before we get into your legacy, this is really about you, but my hat's off to you. I love MC Hammer. You man, like, look, I'm a professional bodybuilding boy. My first bodybuilding contest song was too legit, man. I was up there flexing like crazy. You know what I mean?
All right, all right.
But before we get into that connection and your insight with him, tell the viewers a little bit about you. You're 26 years old and you are traveling down the same road in the music industry. But before that, tell me a little bit about you.
Yes, sir. So yeah, 26 years old. Born in not born in the Bay Area. It was outside of the Bay, Woodland, California. Parents from the Bay Area, but just a young R&B artist striving for bigger and better dreams.
When you say, let me go back, the Bay Area.
Mhm.
I'm not from the California area, so when I hear the Bay Area, the first thing that come to my mind is someplace like Long Beach. But you're saying the Bay Area is really like Oakland and San Fran. What was it like for you growing up
Yeah.
in that area? We always hear, let's get real, the media is never going to paint a beautiful picture about any part of the United States, and especially
Uh,
when you're dealing with the Bay Areas and California. We hear Compton and all Long Beach, Snoop Dogg, and we never hear nothing really, really positive until the people that come out of those areas become famous. What was it like for you growing up in those areas?
Man, well, yeah. So the Bay Area, in the northern part of California, you know what I mean. That's San Francisco, Oakland. Growing up over here is, you know, a lot of diversity, a lot of different cultures. So you get to soak up a lot of different game. You know what I mean, as far as again, cultures and the way of living. So it was a big influence on my life, a big impact on my life, as well as in the music, which you'll hear as well.
You're 26 years old. Like, you grew up in a house with music. Both of your mom and dad are still together. Were there ever any difficult moments in your life growing up? It seems like everything so far has been roses for you, but has there any been any difficult? Were you ever met with any challenges so far at 26 years old?
Yeah, of course. I think that's the uh, normal part of life. You know what I mean? There's always ups and downs, peaks and valleys. So there's definitely some low moments, but focusing on first of all, the present and those high moments is kind of what keeps me going. And just not dwelling on stuff. Definitely learning from these experiences of the low moments, but focusing on what's to be grateful for at the end of the day. So
What were some of the moments that you had to endure at 26 years old and still be able to focus on what you want? At 26 years old, you really want to get into music because let's get real. That's your legacy.
mhm. Yeah, the things that I've gone through as a 26-year-old, heartbreak and things that a young person, a young man goes through, finding himself, finding your manhood, you know what I mean, and things of that nature, just navigating the world as a 26-year-old. Um, and being in the household with my pops and my mom, they always kind of guided me in the right direction, and we're able to put those subtleties and mantras to live through and navigate life as a 26-year-old leading up to this point.
You said something that was pretty profound. You talked about 26 years old finding your manhood. I,
Mm.
I can resonate to that. I mean, you know, I probably had all kind of dreams and so forth, and unfortunately, I didn't have that role model in my life. My role model was um, succeeding at athletics to get a scholarship and trying to master the academic side of it. When you say trying to navigate that, how easy is it for you or how difficult? Because you have a father, you grew up in the you were surrounded by entertainment. Let's get real. Your
Yeah.
father, was it because of, was that a handicap for you being around all of that limelife and your father and the MC Hammer for you, or did it handicap you in any way?
Not at all. I don't think so. Growing up, I was a shy kid, still kind of reserved and laid back. So
There is no way you're gonna sit here and tell me, kin to MC Hammer and your father, y'all shaking in them baggy pants, that you're shy. I don't even see that even happening. But go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, and that's the crazy part that I'm here now. It was just a flip of a switch to where I got on stage and was like, oh, this feels incredible. So it's that equal balance. Going back home on that shy kid on stage I'm a different monster. And that comes with me and around that entertainment life, like you were asking about. So definitely more pros and cons, but handicap I wouldn't say so.
What were some of the things that you and your father shared as you got older when you decided that this is a path that you want to go? Did he sit down and have a heart to heart talk with you? And what were some of the things that he shared with you? And on top of that, what were some of the things that MC Hammer shared with you?
Yeah, my dad is plays a big impact in that. I think my whole life it was kind of like a heart to heart kind of contact where we were connected through music or just dreams when in one way or another. I've always been a big dreamer, whether it was I wanted to be a dancer, a cook, a artist, whatever it was, and my dad as well. I think I definitely get that from him. So he was always instilling me like shooting for the stars. At the end of the day, there's nothing that you can't claim and can't uh be. Um, so it was always that, but definitely when I introduced that I wanted to do music, he had some great things to tell me, great things to say, and as well as my uncle. I think being able to be on tour with them and just watch and observe. That's the thing about us quiet kids. We in the corner, but we still watching. We still you know soaking up everything that's being shown to us. So that just translates to who I am today. So they play a huge impact in where I am today.
How was that for you going on tour at such a young age with a mega superstar like MC Hammer? And how big was your father? I mean, he's on stage too. I mean, I got to
Yeah,
give him his shots out too.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Andre Williams. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was as big as the tour gets, as far as you being on stage and being in that limelight, as well as the city that I was born in, Clear Lake. He made a big name for himself in that town as well, just opening up businesses and stuff. But being a kid in that scene was different. You know what I mean? You leave for the weekend and you're around all these crazy crowds and crazy, entertainment perks. Then you come back to your hometown, you kicking it with your friends, and you can't really talk about it because they don't know what they've never seen it. So it's just it was different, but it was kind of like two sides. I had that entertainment life and then coming back to the regular life.
You're the real life Spider-Man. You putting on your Peter Parker suit, dance.
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
When you was able to share what you did with
Mhm.
with your friends, how did they? Because they had to know who MC Hammer was. I mean, get real.
Right.
How was you when you finally took the mask off and they saw who you was hanging out with? How did people start to perceive you? Did the some people gravitate to you just because they want to be
Mhm.
associated with it. I mean, but how was you perceived once people knew what you were doing?
That's the interesting thing. I've always been perceived the same way. You know what I mean? I think, like you said, people naturally gravitate towards people, and it was never for limelight. I think I just had that type of energy about myself. It's not until when I became an artist and thought that perception was going to be changed, but it didn't. People were still talking to me the same way. People were still bigging me up in the same way. So, um, going back to finding manhood, that was that like aha moment where it was like, oh, this is really just who I've been my whole life. So, um, I think it definitely made sense that how I fell into being an artist and how natural it felt to me is because I think it always just was a part of me and always something that I was meant to be.
Mhm. Now you're old enough to hear, witness the scandals
Hmm.
with the music industry. We already know about the scandals that went along with your uncle and so forth. We're not going to talk about that because it's not important right now. Life goes on. People make mistakes, whether it happened or not. But you were subjected to this, knowing what you know now, knowing how it affected your uncle, maybe how it affected your dad, the family structure. How did your family manage to shield you from this, even though you're seeing it? And more importantly, how did you departmentalize it to keep moving, knowing that your uncle was able to bounce his life back, avoid all that conflict, and still keep moving and making his name relevant?
Yeah, well, going back, like I said, I was taught to, focus on things I can control and focus on what we can be grateful for. So no matter what area, what part of life you're in, high or low moment, there's always something to be grateful for. And keeping God first is a very important part of that. So it wasn't like I had to be shielded from anything or anything was being hidden from me. We were just living life the way we knew how, focusing on what we can control. And again, being grateful. We always have our family at the end of the day. We always keep that love in our heart at the end of the day. So with that, you're gonna keep moving regardless. Um, so it's nothing that shields me that I need to be shielded from, but I think it just what's going on now today. It just reiterates to keep my head down and keep focusing on the work, and remember why I'm doing this. Why I love this. I think that'll keep me.
That's a good
On
question. Why are you doing it? It's
the
hard work.
right,
You seen it. I mean, this wasn't an overnight sensation for your uncle. It wasn't
right.
an overnight sensation for your dad. I mean, so why are you doing it? You got the front row seat at a
Mhm.
young age that a lot of us don't get. So you seen the struggles, you seen the pitfalls, but you also seen the rise to fame even when somebody fell.
Mhm.
So the question is your own question. Why are you doing this?
It's simply because I love it. It's simply because it fills my heart. Um, I fell in love with doing things that I love doing, and the things that I love doing are giving me that same love back. You know what I mean? So singing, being on stage, writing, creating is something that I love and that also loves me back. So that'll be driving force for everything that I do in life.
Okay, check this out. I'm throwing all the questions back at you, big dog.
Yeah, come on with it.
You come from dancing stock.
Mhm.
Y'all, shaking it. Uh, what do you like best? Do you like the dancing? Do you like the singing? Or do you like the writing? You only get you can put them in the orders that you like.
Okay. That's a hard question.
Don't even go there. Don't even go there.
Nah, because look, with performing, I think singing and dancing goes hand in hand because I grew up watching one of the greatest entertainers of all time. You know, an entertainer that's embodying rapping, singing, dancing, and putting it into one,
Yeah,
giving these people a show. So that's one in itself. Writing is another way where you get to express those emotions and express that passion that I have for the art.
right.
So picking one, that's like picking a favorite child. You know what I mean? Um, I fell in love with performing first, so I'm gonna say singing and dance, entertaining. I'm gonna put
Okay.
singing and dancing together and put that at the top, and then writing comes in right after that.
Okay, so check this out. I'm gonna keep coming at you, dog. I got my machine
Yeah.
gun loaded now. So Who's your favorite entertainers? Give me your top five
Top five.
and
Chris
why and
Brown.
why are they your favorite? Or more
Okay,
important, I'm gonna tell you why in a minute. Give me
I
top
got
five
you. I
and
got you.
why.
Top five. So I'm gonna put Chris Brown as the top. Just because I grew up around the era that he was, I around the era that he was popping. Like when he first started, I was able to see that Michael Jackson falls right under because without Michael Jackson, there is no Chris Brown.
Okay,
Um, James Brown comes in after that. He the Godfather. You know what I mean. He's the one that's again has that sauce. It's Michael Jackson and James Brown.
you got
If
two
you got to
more.
say more,
You got
you're
two more.
right. Okay. Uh, Luther Vandross.
Really?
Just yeah, just the way he was able to convey that emotion to the audience just by his voice alone.
Okay.
You knew what he felt. Last one. I'm gonna say Tina Turner. I'll say Tina Turner just simply for the passion. You can see the passion in her performances.
Okay, Kayvon, you know your uncle's gonna be watching this, right? And he wasn't listed on your top five.
Well, I said I put him as the greatest entertainer of all time. I thought that was going unsaid.
Okay.
I thought that was a given. That would have been too easy. You said you got
Okay.
the machine gun for me. That was too easy, man.
So you what made you gravitate to R&B? Because I believe your uncle, I never really knew exactly what I knew MC Hammer was an entertainer, but
hmm
I never could get which part of the music industry he was in. If he was a rapper, if he was just a soul entertainer. I
hmm
never, even though he's a great entertainer, I never got clarity. Does that make any sense?
hmm
But how did you manage? What made you gravitate to the R&B side?
I think the influence in my house, my dad being an R&B artist and a singer, my siblings growing up singing around the house, it was always just a part of life for me. So that was just something that I grasped onto early.
Who do you shape your R&B style with?
Mm. Uh,
You better get this one right. I'm gonna give you three. I'm gonna cut it down to three. You get three.
I get three.
Now
Okay.
I'd be nice to you because you're young. I give you five.
It's a right. There's a right and a wrong answer to this. You said I
No,
better
I'm,
get it
I'm gonna
right.
just I'm gonna just see if you gonna recognize anybody that I know in my era.
Okay. 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 Um. Well, I would go off my. I don't know about my style, but definitely my influences would be, Brandy, Tank, Boys to Men, mm-mm-mm, Jodeci. What's that? And Chris Brown. That's my
You like
five.
Chris Brown? That's second time you don't say it, Chris Brown.
Yeah. Yeah.
That means he's probably your biggest influencer.
I would definitely say so. Yeah.
what is it about him? I mean, I know he's in your generation, but what is it about him that you mentioned his name twice? So that means you take a lot of his influence
Mhm.
to bring into your life. So what is it about him that's making you go, "Wow, I really like this guy"?
Man, just again the entertainer artistry side of it all. He uh just connects all the dots as far as paying attention to the details. You can see it in his work. You can see it on stage when you see him. So that's just what gravitates me towards that. Again, growing up around the greatest entertainer of all time is like that was something that comes with being an artist to me. So it's just something that gives me to strive for, to dream about.
You mentioned um, a lot of hurt. So I take the hurt that you was dealing with had to deal with being young and in love. How much of your, I don't want to say childhood experience, so let's do it like this. How much of your youth experience is brought into your music?
How much of my youth, excuse me,
Experience is brought into your music, your R&B music. Like, what's your flow like when you doing R&B? Because there's different type of R&B. You mentioned Jodeci,
yeah.
that's the acapella. Then you
Uh,
mentioned the soft sounds of Luther Vandross. What's your sound like? Like, what do you bring? What do you bring into your R&B sound?
Emotional vulnerability, I feel like
Okay.
definitely plays a part. It goes back to your question. Yeah, definitely, my childhood plays into my music, dives into my music. Just singing about real life experiences, you know what I mean? Something that people can relate to, and also something that young men like myself can relate to. We don't always feel we have the opportunity to express ourselves or get to pay attention to our emotions much. So I want to bring that into my music and show that you know there's a side to us that does feel like this, and we can acknowledge it, even if we feel in spaces we can't.
What are what are some of the things that you are afraid of while pursuing this journey? I mean, fear has to set place in anything that you do in life because
Mm,
you have to overcome them.
mm,
What are some of the fear factors that you're afraid of that you're going to have to eventually tackle? And more importantly, are you equipped? Do you think you're equipped to deal with it? You're 26 years old,
mm,
going into an industry that is now, I would say it's easy accessible with social media,
mm,
but it's hard to turn it into a career.
mm.
So what are some of the things that you're afraid of that you're going to eventually know you're going to have to tackle? And do you think you're equipped to handle it?
Man, I couldn't tell you as far as fears. Again, my focus is what's in front of me. So I think with that, I definitely along the years have gained tools to overcome a lot of things, in life. Again, you go through things. Um, so those experiences I take and help me equip to whatever it is that comes face me tomorrow. So just making sure my spirituality is in line and my faith is in line, and my head's down and put the work in. That's all I can do, as far as what's to come and what's to try to knock me down. Come on with it. We'll face it when we get
Look, you're sounding just like a young beast in training.
there.
So let me ask you a question. How much impact of your career have you shared with your uncle MC Hammer? I mean, naturally he's the greatest. I mean, do you
Mm.
sit down often with him, and what kind of information does he share with you about the game?
Absolutely. I definitely try to update with everything that I get as far as me getting on an interview to an article. It's always being shared. And again, it's just what they both instilled in me, my pops and him. Just keeping my head down, focused. Make sure you staying ready, so you ain't got to get ready. At the end of the day, man, it's about putting the work in, and it's about remembering why you're doing this. And the why is because I love it. Well, I'm gonna keep doing what I love. So regardless of what's to come or what tries to steer me wrong, just keep staying focused on the end goal, and that's to put the love in.
The music industry has definitely saw a share of local artists, world renowned artists. We see tons of artists, but the biggest thing that I'm hearing and I'm seeing is the debate whether to be an independent artist or to be signed. What's your thought on that?
It's definitely a great conversation to have. I mean, with social media, you can really do it all, by yourself and until a certain point. I feel like so. For me, as far as personal preference, it's just whatever comes to me, whatever makes the most sense at the end of the day. Um, if there's something that I could tackle as being an independent artist, I'm gonna do that. If there's a machine that I feel I need to be back behind me, then we can go the labor route as well. It's just whatever comes to me.
You mentioned something else. You mentioned a couple of groups. You mentioned Jodeci. You mentioned Boys to Men. Do you ever plan to? Do you have visions of collaborating with some type of um, genre like that, like other voices? Because you're still young. I mean,
Yeah.
it's endless for you. Have you thought about that? Is something like that maybe in the work for you? And if so, who are some of the young artists that you like to collaborate with?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to be able to collaborate with Jacquees and Dustin Conrad, Kaylani, the young guys coming up, you know what I mean? And not coming up that are up, Um, they are also, huge influence in what I'm doing today as far as just being able to see somebody my age or my generation do what, I'm dreaming to do or get to where I want to get to. So all of them I'd love to create with.
Let's talk about your generation real quick before we wrap up. Let's talk about your generation
Yeah.
as it relates to music. What needs to change?
Nothing. I don't think anything needs to change. I think everybody has their own lane. Everybody's, doing what they feel is right. And who am I to come in and be like, y'all need to do this, I need to do that. I'm focusing on what I need to do with my music. So, yeah, I wouldn't say anything needs to change.
You're part of your conversation dealt with the word vulnerability.
Hmm.
Vulnerability. What are your weaknesses? What are your weaknesses? And as it relates to
Uh,
pursuing your career,
uh,
nothing else. As it pertains to your career, there's what are your weaknesses? We're talking about vulnerability now. And the
yeah,
reason that I say that is because, like you just said, if you're able to open up and share what the vulnerability, because let's get real, the music industry isn't a thing of roses. It's steps, it's connections, it's being vulnerable. You got to let people know what you need to take you to see if they can offer you a hand. What are you vulnerable? Where are you vulnerable at right now?
man. Well, my weakness is, I think I won't stop. I think it's a weakness and a strength. I'm not gonna stop till I get the work done or till I see my vision through. So if that means I'm gonna beat myself up and be tired about it, then so be it. But regardless, it's gonna get done. So I think that's a weak point. And being your own worst critic, you know what I mean? Something that every person goes through, every artist goes through is always feeling like there's something, better to be done or you can do something better. But that could
Wait a
also be
minute, hold down, Kevon. Give me an example. Give me an example of you being your own worst critic.
well, starting with this project that I released called Pretty Girls Love R&B. It was a 3-song EP and just trying to write that and making sure I'm setting it up the right way. Does this song go first? Nah, this should go first because now blah blah blah. So it's stuff like that, getting that project done and ready for the world to hear.
Who do you let? Who do you let um, second approve your work? Do you go to your uncle and your father, your uncle? Like who do you showcase your stuff in front of before you release it to get that approval that you because that means you got to value these individuals. Who do you
Yeah,
go to when you get ready to drop a project to say if it's safe?
I'm definitely going to my dad. He's somewhere where music probably ain't coming out if it's not going through his ears first. He's been a pivotal point in everything that I've released so far.
Has there ever been songs that he goes, "Hey, son, nah, this ain't gonna work."
Nah, not, and I'm waiting for that. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to figure out, is this just because you my dad, you're not gonna tell me the real, but he gonna always keep it real with me with me.
Yeah.
But nah, it hasn't come a point where he's like, nah, this ain't it, you know.
Hey, I really want to take time to say thank you so much for blessing us and coming on to the show. What's in store for you? You got some projects that you're working on. Tell the viewers a little bit about these projects, these new what is it called, EPs or drops that's about to come out. Give me a little bit of insight on what's going on with you with that.
Yeah, well, again, Pretty Girls Love R&B. You know, that's my recently released project, and that's something that I'm just still working. You know what I mean, as far as content and music videos. So, it's a lot more to come with that. And again, just working on more R&B that Pretty Girls gonna fall in love with. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, so trying to hit all the stops and all the points this year with making new music.
Now you going on tour to release these new EPs? Like, how can people we what you can give out your social media connect, but are you going on tour? How was that going for you with promoting these songs?
So I've been doing a couple spot dates in Sacramento, and you can keep up with that on my Instagram as well, just where I'm going to be at. As far as tours, not yet. That's still in the works. That's still something that's being talked about and navigated through. So hopefully that's in the near future.
Look, you got MC Hammer and your dad. You're gonna be on tour in 50 states pretty soon. I already 26 years old. Yeah, you're gonna be a household name. How can the viewers reach out to you? What give us the social media handles and people that want to follow you, support you, and help you with your journey? How can we reach out to you?
Yeah, so on Instagram, Kevon Williams, Kevon Williams, and that'll link you to everything I got going on as far as Twitter, TikTok, and all my streaming music. So that's the hub.
Okay, now you ain't getting off that easy. I make all the singers do this.
Uh-oh.
You got a song that's about to drop. Give us a little blow of that song. Give us a little sample of that new R&B sound.
Yeah, for sure. Got you. So this one's called Dream. Something to say before I wake. I hold on to the days, forever my favorite. Brought trust back to me, my therapy. Her eyes are like jade, bring me harmony. So that song is about dreams. It's about my dream girl, but the girl that lives in my dreams. So wherever she is out there, I hope she hear it.
We're gonna make sure to hear it because they can listen to it on the I Am Beast radio station. Download it at Zeno. Search I Am Beast Radio to hear all of Kevon Williams' up and coming tracks, his old tracks, everything music. Kevon, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show. Tell your uncle and your dad I said hi. I appreciate everything that your uncle did for uh, bringing music and keeping music alive. I know you're going to do the same thing. It's called Generation Legacy. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Crayton Show.